This is another video in the series Getting Started with Extreme Vigilance from Scianta Analytics. In this video, we're going to actually walk you through the steps of creating a model. So let's get started here. In the menu bar up here, you'll notice there's the Manage. Under Manage, we are actually going to select the Model Management UI. So initially, I've already got one model, but we're going to create a new one. And we're going to create one that's kind of interesting. It's actually one we use extensively when we do demos. So let's click on the Create New Model button. And it'll take us right into a nice little model wizard. And we're going to give it a nice name. You also notice on most of the user interfaces within Extreme Vigilance, we have facts at the bottom with all kinds of inline question answers to help you along the way. We try to think of the things that you might ask. So creating this model, we have to give it a name, and we're going to call this demo_anet. Anet is a common name we use for a demo. We use for A for authentication, N for network, E for email, T for traffic. So we're going to basically generate this model based off activities of actors in your system, based off these type of activities that these users do in your system. So in the description, I'm just going to say authentication, network, email, and traffic. So when we create models, we actually have to pick the data dictionaries. And if we recap, the data dictionary is kind of that interface between us and data sources. So your data sources, like using Splunk search commands for like using the data model command, or pulling data directly out of an index, or maybe some other custom search. The data dictionary actually identifies the items out of those searches and says these are the ones that we actually want to do our analysis on. We can say they're available for graph or sequence analysis, as well as threshold analysis, and so on. So as we said, we were doing ANET. So let's go ahead and select authentication, all the email fields, all the ones from the network, as well as traffic. So once we've selected those, you'll notice here each of the data dictionaries we selected. There's also the corresponding searches displayed, and we have the ability to edit these searches here if we want to. For us, our purposes, since these are data model commands, we're basically just going to pull them in. And then right away, last 90 days is the default. We recommend you pull at least 3 months worth of history or historical data. In my case, it's just pick, you can specify a custom range. In my case, I'm going to pull data in through April 1st, and arbitrarily I'm going to pull data in through the July 17th. So approximately a little over 3 months. I just go ahead and click the Load Historical Data button. And it's actually telling me it's loading the first one right now, the first data dictionary, authentication. It's actually executing that data model command, and it's in progress. And it will step through, and we'll see actions show up here and it go to done on each data dictionary as it progresses. Now this is going to take a few minutes, so I'm just going to pause it here. Or you'll notice that the actions just complete. Now I'm on email. And it looks like we finally got our model loaded here. And notice on the side, the status, it shows that it successfully loaded each of them. If for some reason you saw 0 actions loaded, there's a couple potential issues there. One in your data dictionary, if it's one you created, has some issues. Or maybe you just have no data in this time frame. So we successfully loaded this data in the model. Now we're actually ready to start building it. Let me go ahead and get this started by clicking the Build button. Okay, the build is completed. So we're going to click the next button and get to pretty much the final step here where we're going to activate the model. I'm going to go ahead and click that. Now activation is completed. Well, if we click the next button one last time, we get a nice summary of the model we have just successfully created. The information about the name, a description, created, the status, even remember I mentioned information density, that what we also call as a trust level. It's pretty good. There's 100 landscapes, which corresponds to about 100 actors. Of the actions, we've derived over 441,000 actions that we put into our model, and there's over 500 graphs. There's a nice chart too. It also gives us a little representation of the data that was ingested over the last 3 months too. If I click the button Return to the Model List, I should see my new model presented there. This concludes the tutorial on creating a cognitive model in Extreme Vigilance. Before we go, I'd like to point out that Extreme Vigilance contains a wealth of great documentation built right into the app. If you look at the documentation menu, you'll see a Getting Started section. If you select Models, the page will walk you through the steps needed to create a cognitive model like we did here today. I encourage you to take a look at all of the Getting Started materials that ship with Extreme Vigilance. Thanks for watching.